Whiff. Alright, here's a fun one. Whiff the garbage engine. Whiff was introduced in Season 11's Emily's Rubbish. He is the railway's garbage engine, meaning he collects trucks of rubbish. In the CGI series, it's established that he brings the rubbish to a waste dump. He lives here, and sometimes works in the facility sorting trucks around. As a hard-working industrial engine, he's often quite grubby, and has a notable odor, hence his name.
My name's Whiff because I'm a bit smelly.
He doesn't care much about his appearance, but it's impossible to not like him. He seems to just get along with everyone. Whiff is based on Aerolite, an extremely unique tank engine built for the Northeastern Railway. Aerolite was built to haul the Northeastern's chief mechanical engineer's saloon coach. Its work was very undemanding, and it never hauled revenue-earning trains. It was first built as a very primitive-looking 222 in 1869, then was rebuilt again with side tanks added in 1886, then was rebuilt a third time into a 422 in 1892, and finally was completely rebuilt into a 224 in 1902, and it remains in this state today. It was retired in 1933 and was preserved at the LNER's museum in York, where it still is, and has never steamed in preservation. There is simply no other engine out there that resembles Aerolite, because, well, it's been rebuilt so many times that it doesn't even resemble what it started life as. And it was built and rebuilt over the years to do a very specific task. Aerolite and Whiff even share the same number, 66, and this sort of indicates that Whiff is meant to be Aerolite. I don't think I really have to explain why Aerolite is such an inappropriate prototype for Whiff. I'll never understand why the show opted for its industrial, grubby, hard-working, goods-hauling garbage engine character to be based on a unique Regal 224 locomotive that never hauled wagons and was really only capable of hauling a single coach. I'd like to believe that it was some sort of inside joke with the show crew, but I can't confirm that. So, is there another engine out there that suits Whiff's character better? Well, what's our criteria? Whiff works in a waste dump, an industrial area, so he should probably be some sort of industrial tank engine. However, he does haul trains and travels some distance to collect rubbish around Sodor, so he needs to be something a little larger, capable of pulling several wagons and traveling those longer distances. Honestly, I think any sort of larger industrial would fit the bill, but I'm going to go with the Uglies. These were a batch of 9060 saddle tank engines, designed by Robert Stevenson and Company in 1950 for the Stewart and Lloyd's Steelworks. The company extended their line to nearby quarries and needed larger tank engines like these specifically to run these longer hauls. They resemble the more common austerity 060s by Hunslet, but with shorter saddle tanks that end just before their larger fireboxes. They look a little unusual as a result, hence their nicknames, the Uglies. 5 of them are preserved, one notably with the name Ugly. How flattering. I think this works perfectly for Whiff. It's an industrial designed specifically to run trains to and from its base, and I think the ugly design of these suits his character. He's supposed to be a bit weird looking, after all. The Uglies lasted in service till 1969. 4 of them were scrapped. Not at all a stretch to believe that one of these scrapped ones was sold to Sodor after withdrawal. This is fun. On to the next one.
Este dispositivo tiene tarifa.
Connor and Caitlin. Oh ho ho, here we go. Connor and Caitlin, the Streamliners. Connor and Caitlin were introduced in the 2013 movie King of the Railway. With Ulstead Castle's grand reopening to the public, Connor and Caitlin were brought on to run a non-stop service between the castle and the mainland. These 2 large engines are streamlined in sleek bullet-like casings and are very fast. So fast that they give Gordon and Spencer a run for their money.
Who was that? Don't ask me!
Their speed is a point of pride for them, and it makes them rather confident. Connor is based on the extremely iconic New York Central Hudsons, the beautiful, streamlined 464 tender locomotives that hauled New York Central's premier express services like the 20th Century Limited and the Empire State Express. First built in 1927, there were 275 Hudsons in total, but only a select group of them received the Art Deco streamlined casings designed by Henry Dreyfuss. Despite being one of the most celebrated American steam locomotives ever, none survived to preservation. A tragic loss. Caitlin, however, is based on the Baltimore and Ohio P7 class Pacific. Also first built in 1927, only 20 of these massive engines existed. Caitlin is based specifically on number 5304, President Monroe, which was rebuilt in 1937 with a streamlined casing. Others were streamlined at different points too, though the design differed slightly. One P7 does survive in preservation, number 5300, though it is not a streamlined example. Both engines' designs were altered to accommodate the characters' faces. Their headlamps were moved below them onto their front shrouding. The decision to make Connor and Caitlin streamliners, I think, was meant to tie in with the whole knights in shining armor theming of King of the Railway. Prior to them, the only streamliner in the show was Spencer, but Spencer is an A4 class, which was designed with a streamlined body. Not like these two, which are normal locomotives with shrouding added on top of them, so they kind of are wearing a sort of armor, so to speak. So why don't these engines work for these two? Well, again, I think it's pretty obvious. These giant American engines look totally out of place on Sodor. Never mind them looking out of place, or how they even got to Sodor. They're just too tall for British loading gauge. As shown to us on a couple occasions, their route takes them through Henry's Tunnel. Realistically, that tunnel would probably not have the clearance for such tall and wide engines. In real life, all the Hudsons were withdrawn by 1957, and the P7s in 58. Neither would have been around still in the current day of the show, which, again, is around the mid to late 60s or so. And, just to make this all even more confusing, these very clearly American engines have Irish accents.
Hello there, I'm Connor.
And I'm Caitlin.
This is our test run and time trial. We're having a little race. Care to join us?
So they're American engines that live in England and are Irish. Right. Some fans have theorized that the reason is because they were built by Irish immigrants. Which is true, a lot of Irish Americans worked on the railroads back then. Which is cool, but I don't know how actually intentional that was. Despite all of that, Connor and Caitlin are still pretty fun, distinct characters in their own right, and each have successfully carried episodes on their own. They're pretty well-written characters, honestly, but it's undeniable. Two giant American streamliners look ungodly out of place on Sodor, and timeline-wise, they don't really make much sense here either. So, what would suit these two better? So what do we need to look for here? Well, these engines definitely need to be fast, and they need to be streamliners. Being streamlined is pretty essential to them in their debut appearance. Considering the show takes place in England, they probably should be British built and fit the British loading gauge. So pretty simple, a couple of fast British streamliners is what we're after. I feel like this is a completely obvious pick, but I'm going with it anyway. I propose both of them being Coronation-class locomotives from the London, Midland and Scottish Railway, designed by the one and only William Stanier. The Coronations were first outshopped in 1937. They were large, fast, powerful, and easily topped 100 miles per hour. They were built with an air-smoothed, bullet-like streamlined casing to help them cut through the air and increase their speed. For a time, the first of the class, number 6220, Coronation, held the world speed record at 114 miles per hour. Following World War II, all the Coronations had their casings removed to make maintenance easier, and they resembled more traditional steam locomotives. All new builds following were built without the casing. One of the preserved examples, Duchess of Hamilton, was re-streamlined in 2009. The class survived till nearly the end of steam in the mid-60s, much more suitable for the Thomas timeline. Once they were preserved for the Ulfsted service, we could say that the two were re-streamlined for publicity purposes, just like Hamilton was. What I love about the Coronations for